Welcome to my YouTube page, Living in Beautiful Orlando. Living in Beautiful Orlando. And I want to talk to you today about a few pros and cons about living in the city beautiful. Yes, the city is still beautiful. However, there are some pros and some cons as to living in this town. All right, so I'm going to share with you some of those pros and cons. And if it's your first time on my channel, please do me a favor and subscribe, like, and also comment anything that you may have in mind, or suggestions or questions you may have down in the comments. Or also, if you have a specific topic you'd like me to cover about the city of Orlando, feel free to let me know down below. And if you're looking to move to the Orlando area or the Central Florida area, more broadly, feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text. I have my number right down here somewhere. Okay. But anyway, so in a quick moment, we're going to share with you some of those pros and cons. Right, so we're back sharing with you those pros and cons of the city of Orlando. Now, there could be a list of a bunch of these, right? And I'm probably gonna do a few more of these pros and cons because some things are gonna change. Some things may be the case now, but it's not the case in 2 or 3 years, or it may not even be the case in 6 months. So these are just a few pros and cons that I've kind of put together based on my experience, both as a resident of the city beautiful Orlando and also a real estate agent here in Orlando. All right, so the first pro is this: things to do, right? Things to do. There are a lot of things to do in Orlando. I mean, we're one of the most attractive, you see what I did there? Attractive cities in the United States. And even more so in Florida because of our attraction parks, right? So we have Universal, we have Disney, of course, we have SeaWorld, we have Fun Spot, which have grown extremely to a much bigger park now. So we have a lot of attractions for both people who are living in the city and people who come from other states and even outside of the country to visit some of those parks. So as a result, there are a lot of things to do. And in addition to that, you also have a lot of local and even smaller businesses who find other ways to attract those tourists that come, to experience all the attractions that we have in Orlando. So that's that. So that's the first pro. The second one would be cost of living. Now, compared to some other parts of the country, and even to some other parts within the state, we are relatively pretty inexpensive when it comes to cost of living. For example, you can see that very clearly in the real estate market. The type of home you would get here for, let's say, $350,000, that could be a very nice 3-4 bedroom, even a 5-bedroom, 2-story home, at least 2,000 square foot, as opposed to down in Miami, $350 could barely get you a 3-bedroom home that's not even new, or not even from this this decade, right? So cost of living, as far as housing, even rent, is relatively cheaper than other places within the state. So that I think that's a pro that's very, very important. The next thing is transportation. So we have fairly we have pretty good transportation as far as public transportation, because we have a public bus line that goes through most of the town, and especially within the city of Orlando. We have the sun rail that can be used as well. Of course, you have your regular Uber and Lyft, and even some of the other local taxi companies like Mears. So you have some option when it comes to transportation. Also, a lot of our communities are located near your Publix and Walmart and different local grocery stores, your Costco and your BJ. So things aren't necessarily, you're not gonna have to drive, let's say 10 to 15 minutes down to go to your nearest grocery store. All right, so transportation is huge. Another pro is it's very family friendly in Orlando. Very, very family friendly. Of course, with the theme parks, with the attractions, that's gonna attract a lot of families with kids. But also when it comes to our school system, it's very we have our main three counties, which is Orange, Lake, Osceola County, and even Seminole County as a fourth. Have great schools, and you have also multiple options for within the school system that you can choose. So that makes it to where the schools have to be somewhat competitive to get your kids right. So very family friendly. Lots of activities for the kids. A lot of parks that are around. Lots of sporting programs and sports clubs within the area that your kids can get involved in. And last but not least is the food, right? So whenever you have a city like Orlando, where we have one of the largest international airports in the United States, that means you have a lot of different cultures and a lot of different people that are gonna not just come through here, but also reside here. And that gives you the opportunity for different cultures in their food. So we have a couple of sort of restaurant hubs around the town where you can find anything and everything from, Italian, Chinese, Japanese, Mediterranean, Indian, whatever it may be. You will find it here in Orlando because we are very, very diverse. So you get lots of different cultures and cuisines in the city of Orlando. All right, so those are the pros. I hope they're good enough to make you want to come live in the city. Beautiful. But now, dun dun dun, we have to talk about the cons. Okay, so here are the cons, right? So because we have all the attractions, all the theme parks, we get a lot of tourists. Okay, now again, this may be a pro for you if you love to meet new people and new cultures and all of that. But with tourists, that means you're gonna have a little bit of traffic. That means you're gonna have really just, there's gonna be traffic, right? There's gonna be traffic, and the things that you want to go to on a weekend may be crowded and things like that. So I think the biggest issue most residents have with tourists is I think it's just the traffic, really. We don't mind welcoming people to our city. I think it's just the traffic. So if that could be a con for you. Another one is humidity. Oh my goodness. So the humidity out here is absolutely ridiculous. So if it might be just 60 degrees or even 70 degrees, which is actually cold for us. But let's say it's in the 80s, just low 80s, but the humidity is high, then it makes it even more just muddy and just wet, right? So you're, people like me, you're gonna sweat because it's very humid. So if that's something that 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 could maybe affect your health or anything like that, that might be something you want to think about. The level of the of humidity that we have here in Orlando. The other con is minimum wage. So minimum wage here is not the best. It's getting better, but it's not the best. So if that's, if you're gonna live here, it means you're gonna work here. If you're gonna work just a regular job or a normal job, especially if you're not necessarily coming into a senior position, or you don't have necessarily seniority, in the new town, in a new city, then that's gonna be an issue. So that's something to be mindful of. And then kind of, I guess, going back to the humidity part, the weather. The weather is a con, yes, because we don't get the normal 4 seasons of the year. We basically get hot or hot with rain. Okay, and that's basically all of our seasons. So that's an issue. If you like snow, or I'm sure there's no snow here in Florida. But if you like your regular spring and in the fall and winter, and if you're looking forward to those things every year, and you want to see the leaves change and all of that, you want to rake your leaves. If you want to see all of that, you won't necessarily get that in the state of Florida, or even specifically in Orlando, because we're right in the middle. Yes, and it's a great location to be within the state, because you're basically about an hour from each of the coast. You're also about 3 to 4 hours from I guess from north to south, down to Miami and the Key West area. It's probably about 5 hours, and then up to like Tallahassee and up and out there in Pensacola. You're about 4, you right there in the middle. It's really the best place to be in Florida for so many reasons. But again, we do have some of these cons, so I'm going to keep sharing that with you. And the last one is I-4. I-4. Now, I-4 is currently under a project called I-4, the I-4 Ultimate Project, where they're basically expanding the highway and adding an express lane in the middle, which should help make it have less traffic. But the kind of the local story is that I-4 is always under construction. But I must say, I was on the I-4 most recently, and I think they're pretty close to being done. I believe if not by the end of the year, early next year, if we don't get any delays, the I-4 Ultimate Project will be completed. And I think that might be the end of the headaches that we get from driving on the I-4. But those are all the cons I want to share with you today. Again, if you need any help with moving toward the Orlando area, or you have any questions, anything that you would like to know more about, feel free to shoot those in the comments, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Again, this is Joe Derilus. I'm a local real estate agent here with eXp Realty, and you're watching Living in Beautiful Orlando.